No, right. Yes. Not tonight. What is? Yeah, you can.
Well, any of these watches I sent a class to these people.
They force you to like.
How are you? Good, good. Yeah, no problem. I was just talking to Pat Donovan, and then his one of the Noel school that I was going to go visit. He says he's going to be, I think, he says he's going to be there on the 17th. So I'm going to look at my calendar and see if we want to go together.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
We do some more.
How are you? Nice to see you. How are you doing?
Good. I'm making my way to the rest.
Yeah, I just did the same.
Get there.
Get
Don't let
there.
me stand in your way.
You are very large on the camera right now, if that means
that good or
anything
bad?
to you. I mean, it's larger than life, Scott. Larger than life.
Is that a statement about my dignity?
It is a statement about your proximity to the camera. And that is all.
Are we live?
We are. Kathy, is this your drink? Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. That's okay. There was no way for me. 3-minute warning?
Do you need it out of your way?
No, if it was someone else's, I would have, but for you, anything.
Hi, everybody. We're going to give a 3-minute warning, and then we'll get started. Thank you.
There's trouble.
Hopefully you can do it a little bit
And it was the biggest.
Right here.
Check, check.
All right.
Check, check.
It's not on.
All right, we're going to get started. There's still quite a few people coming in, but we're going to start so we can get out of here on time. So first of all, I want to welcome all of you here to our candidate forum for District 3 and for at-large. And you are in House District 6. So try not to get them all mixed up. I'm Art Hammond. I'm the chair of House District 6, and I am delighted to see so many people here. This is important. People need to know who they're voting for on November 5th, 4th, whatever the day is. So we are glad you're here, and we are looking forward to hearing from our candidates. I want to thank our planning committee. We've worked very hard on this. So I'm going to call them out individually. Shanice Moore. Sandy Berenbaum. Scott Balderman. Karen Zazaretti's at the check-in table. Kathy Wilson is right here. Mark Price is at the check-in table. Is Tyson Johnson here? There you are. Denver Dems Chair James Reyes in the back. Denver Dems First Vice Chair Emily Parker. And I also want to just mention a couple of volunteers who came very early to help us get everything set up, get everything done. We could not do this without them. At the check-in table is our County Treasurer, Beth Turner. Standing against the wall there is our Second Vice Chair, Matthew Logan. And I believe Gene Fisher is letting people in by the front door. So thank you to all of our volunteers. I'm going to turn the meeting over to our two moderators, Shanice and Sandy, and they will take over from here. Make sure you eat cookies. And if you want to donate to help paying for this tonight, over on the table over there, there is a bowl for donations. You do need to fill out the BRE, which is a white envelope. So please consider donating so that we can get all this paid for. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Denver Democrats Denver Public School Board Candidate Forum for DPS District 3 and at-large candidates. I'm Sandy Berenbaum, Denver Democrat House 2B Captain, and alongside me is my co-moderator, Shanice. Both Shanice and I represent House districts within DPS District 3 and are excited to be here with you tonight as a community.
Good evening. My name is Shanice. I'm co-captain, one of the co-captains for House District 6, which we are sitting in. Both Sandy and I want to start by thanking our candidates for running. It takes a lot of vulnerability, courage, and sacrifice to sit in your seats, and we thank you for raising your hand, especially for our public schools, so thank you.
Okay, before we get started, we'd like to explain the setup for tonight. The candidates seated at the table furthest from us on the audience's right are the at-large candidates.
And then the candidates seated to the table closest to us are the candidates running for District 3. This is an important differentiation because both of these tables represent two different races in November for the Denver Public School Board.
And here's how tonight's forum will proceed. We'll begin with opening statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves in an opening statement and share why they are running. We have a clock over here that's a countdown clock that they can see, and we have a person who is going to remind people if need be. Next, we'll move on to the question and answer portion. The questions you'll hear tonight were submitted in advance by Denver Democrat community members from House districts located in DPS District 3. Each candidate will have up to 1 minute to respond. We'll rotate through the candidates so that everyone has the opportunity to address each question. Please note that we will not be taking questions from the floor.
At that point, we'll move to a rapid fire round where we'll ask the candidates a series of quick questions. That'll be followed by closing statements, and each candidate will have 1 minute to close up their platform or final statements. To ensure fairness and equal time, we mentioned the visible timer. As soon as the candidate is done answering the question, which we will rotate, who gets the first question, second, etc., we will move on to the next candidate to ensure everyone has equal opportunity and to share their perspective.
We ask all candidates to keep their remarks respectful and focused on the questions.
And for our audience, both here and online, thank you for creating a welcoming environment. Please hold any applause or reactions to the end so we can maximize our time hearing from the candidates, which is why we're all here. So without further ado.
With that, we will begin with candidates' opening statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes. Karen Blank, we will begin with you since you're first in that alphabet.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Karen Blank, and I am running for the School Board of Education in District 3. As someone who never planned to run for office, I'm running because I believe we need new leadership and direction in our school district. I live in Lowry, and I'm the parent of 3 children, 2 DPS graduates, and 1 current freshman. I really believe that schools are the backbone of our community, and when we strive for excellence in our schools, we have the opportunity to create an incredible community for ourselves and our future. I've spent my career involved in community engagement in Denver and nationally as an early childhood educator and nonprofit leader. I've spent much of my time advocating for students and their potential, honoring who they are, identifying ways to create meaningful compensation for educators, and to develop strong partnerships with parents. I've spent both time as a professional and as a board member on both sides of the board, transparency and accountability, and I believe every student in our district deserves the right to for an equitable, inclusive school experience that's responsive to their needs. I care about community voice and transparency and an oversight from the board, which holds district leadership accountable. When DPS mandated cuts 18 months ago at my school, I found out as a parent that these cuts were happening because my children came home from school telling me that their teachers were taken out of the classrooms from their administrators and returned crying. I worked together with parents, teachers, and students to advocate both at a school and a district level to make sure that the DCTA contract was being honored for our teachers in this process. And I believe that we can do better, and that's why I'm running. We can provide stronger oversight.
Thank you. Okay, Scott is next.
All right. I'm Scott Esserman. I know many of you, and those of you I don't know, I look forward to getting to know. 4 years ago when I ran, my daughter had just turned 18, was a graduate of Manual High School, and had the opportunity to submit her first ballot with my name on it. This year, my son just turned 18 in June and will have the opportunity to submit his first ballot with my name on it. And I'm pretty thrilled about that as a parent of somebody whose children have gone to DPS for all of their academic career. I'm a lifelong educator, most of you know that. And I'm here because we have to continue the work that we're doing. We have unprecedented and historically outstanding academic results that aren't good enough, that we have a lot of work to do on yet, and that I've led on so far. That's number 1. Number 2, and I can't emphasize this enough, this board and this superintendent has stood up to the Trump administration like no other district in the country. We were the first district in the country to file suit when ICE threatened to come into our schools. And we challenged the administration on that, and as of now, we've had none of those threats. And just recently, as you may have seen, we had a ruling from the local Office of Civil Rights on multi-stall, all-gender restrooms that were requested by students at East High School, and we're fighting back against that. Let me tell you, it's very clear, both the superintendent and the board will not back down from the war that Trump has declared on our students. We'll operate with bravery, we'll operate with integrity, and we need the continuity to continue that leadership. Time for change in leadership. We're seeing the kind of results that I told you 4 years ago we were going to see, and that I've worked towards, and that we're going to continue seeing. We have safe schools, we have great schools. There's only one person who has, can we have her leave? She should not be making signs, she shouldn't be putting her thumb down. I'm sorry. This is a problem.
We'll request from the audience that we hold any reactions, please. Thank you.
And if she can, I don't think it's reasonable for her to say. I'm just going to say it.
Thank you, Scott. Next is DJ.
Hi, neighbors. My name is Dr. DJ Torres. Thank you for welcoming me into this space tonight. I'm honored to be here as a DPS dad, a lifelong educator, a lifelong Democrat, DPS Teachers Union endorsed, and a candidate who believes deeply in our shared values. I believe that at the heart of our Democratic Party are the values of community, fairness, and democracy that works for everyone equitably. Above all, we agree that democracy requires trust built through actions. Trust that our board will put every student, educator, and family first, and in every decision made. Trust that commitments made to this community will be honored with action and not abandoned once the election is over. And trust that we will not allow conservative donors or corporate reform groups to push union-busting agendas or steal our schools away from their communities and the voices of hardworking folks like you and like me. I'm running because DPS staff, students, and families feel a trust in need of repair, and I'm here to fix it. I've spent my career in DPS classrooms, in boardrooms across the city, and in community rooms across the country, working to rebuild trust, bringing people together to make schools safer, education more accessible, and communities more equitable. I will be the kind of board member whose actions align with the promises I make, because I know that trust is earned every day and by every action. During the forum tonight, I hope you experience my commitment to restoring public trust. Trust in how our board works with educators and communities, trust that our schools are safe and supportive of every child, and trust that a democratically elected board will live up to the values we lift up tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, DJ. Next, we're going to move to the at-large candidates. Amy, you're first.
Hold down the button until it turns on.
Now it's on.
Yeah, great.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you all for being here. This is extremely important. My name is Amy Kleinmolt, and I am running for the Denver School Board at-large seat. I'm the proud mom of 2 DPS students, one who just started ECE. I'm a special ed paraprofessional, and I am an ed tech entrepreneur. I have over 2 decades of experience as an education advocate, working with at-risk youth, building innovative learning platforms, and working side by side with our teachers in our classrooms. I entered this race because I believe that education is the last great equalizer. But that promise is slipping away. Families are losing trust. Educators are burning out, and too many students don't feel safe and supported. My vision is clear. We need strong neighborhood schools in every community. We need to support our educators with fair pay, real resources, and manageable class sizes. Finally, we need to create safe, future-ready schools where our children are prepared and ready for the future ahead. For decades, DPS has followed a reformer playbook. Privatization, closures, and competition. It's a failing strategy that our current administration is doubling down on. I'm running to fight against that, to invest in people, in our students, our educators, and our neighborhoods.
Thank you, Amy. Next we have Alex.
Thank you. For the past 25 years, I've proudly served Denver Public Schools as a teacher, as a principal, and executive director. I'm also a proud DPS parent. I've worked in the Northwest and Southwest and the Southeast. Throughout my career, I've recreated schools where it's safe, welcoming environments, and students are seen, and teachers are supported, and the voices of our families are heard. That's why this is what the campaign is all about, to ensure that we're hearing the voices from our families. Our district currently is in crisis. We have high teacher burnout. We have low academic outcomes. We have administration is attacking public education, and we also have we've lost the trust of our voters. What I bring as a board member is my experience, but I also believe in this: that I believe that every child deserves a safe, welcoming school, and that they're being challenged. That I believe that every teacher should be compensated and given the professional development that reflects their values. That I believe that parents have a voice in the decisions for their children. And I also believe strongly that schools need the funding that serves the needs of the kids in that school. This is the work that I've been doing for the past 25 years. And I've done this by bringing people together and working with the organizations. And when the Trump administration attacks public education, I'll be the first to stand up and fight. I fought as a parent for my kids. My kids went through the EC 12 education here in Denver Public Schools, and I fought for my schools and for my teachers. And as a board member, I will fight for every family, every student, and every parent in DPS. Thank you.
Thank you all. A couple of reminders to our audience. The first is please help us keep this a respectful and welcoming environment. It takes all of us. The second is if you're on the Wi-Fi, please get off. We are having some streaming technical difficulties, so thank you. All right. I also want to acknowledge Deborah Sims Bard. If she's here, we would love to invite her to the front. If not, we're going to move forward. All right, go into our question and answer portion. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question.
Okay, for our first question, we will begin with Scott Esserman and move down the line. Scott, please state your understanding of what the school board's responsibilities are versus the superintendent's responsibilities. You have 1 minute.
Thanks. The school board's responsibilities are to manage the budget, to hire, manage, and supervise the superintendent, and to take care of making sure that we're doing what's best for all of our students. The superintendent's responsibilities are to take care of everything that falls into operations. So day-to-day operations of what occurs in our school buildings are the responsibility of the superintendent. The superintendent is responsible for following board policy as established, but also for establishing administrative policies that fall outside of those board policies. The best way to think about this is, as the board, we are the superintendent's directors. We are the superintendent's managers. He has 7 bosses who give him messages on a regular basis. So if we don't do it in policy, there's no requirement for him to do it. But we want to provide him with the flexibility to do it the best of his ability and using the resources that we provide in the budget.
Yes, thank you. Pass the mic down.
Okay. Is it just go and start right away? Okay. Thanks.
Yes.
So the way I like to describe it is that the board is in charge of the ends and the superintendent is in charge of the means. And so the board decides what those outcomes are every single year, 3 years, whatever the process period is. And then the superintendent is tasked with making sure that those are accomplished. I think also specifically the superintendent is tasked with bringing back the ways that, in this case, he will demonstrate how those goals are going to be accomplished through data. I like to also add that it's the responsibility of the board to continue to be cyclical feedback members with community so that community can inform the decisions of the board, which then inform the pathway for the superintendent. And I like to think of it as a triangle of sorts or 3 legs of a stool so that community stays an active part of the decision-making process as we manage the role of the superintendent.
Thank you. Amy's next. You get to keep your mic at your own
Yeah,
table.
perfect. Thank you. So I believe that the board's responsibility is to be the messenger for the people that they represent. And in doing that, we must bring the voices of the community. Then we get down to the tactics of what we actually have to do as a board. And that is to oversee the budget and to serve as the boss, if you will, of the superintendent. We, together as a collective group, are making sure that the superintendent is meeting their goals and is meeting the goals not only for their own personal growth, but also that of every single student in our district. It is also our job to make sure that we are doing thorough reviews of that work and that we are communicating that with with our constituents and also with the superintendent.
The role of the board is to really advocate for the families and communities that we serve. But I want to take it a step further. The role of the board is to define the mission and vision of the district. Where do we want our kids to be like when they end their ECE through 12 education? What do we want them to accomplish and be like? And the board's responsibility is to define that mission and vision and start setting the expectations right from the beginning. Then the other role of the board is to create clear goals that are expected to be met. And we work with the superintendent and direct the superintendent to ensure that he is following or she is following the right path for our kids here at Denver. It's extremely important that our students are successful and we are creating safe, welcoming environments, and we're ensuring that all kids are academically striving and succeeding. The role of the superintendent is to deliver on the mission defined by the board. Thank you.
I think that healthy governance is critical in any organization, and in this district, healthy governance translates directly to student achievement. That means that the board has to begin with identifying its shared values, vision, beliefs about how children learn best, how we invest in our teachers, and what we believe about the power of community voice and the role it plays in decision making. We have to work on identifying and distinguishing between the roles and responsibilities of board members and our superintendent. It is the responsibility of board members to set policy that is grounded in community voice, in comprehensive data, and in what we know is best for students. The superintendent's responsibility, along with his staff, is to implement policy. And the board is responsible for holding the superintendent accountable, because he is their one employee, to all of the expectations laid out in policy.
Thank you. Thank you all. When it works.
Test. All right, we're going to move on to our next question. Dr. DJ Torres. Denver Public Schools have historically experienced wide achievement gaps in standardized test scores based on race and ethnicity. Do you think that standardized tests are an accurate way to measure equity and achievement gaps? Why or why not? You have 1 minute.
No, I do not. I worked in the central office as an equity leader. My last job before I left the central office was director of special equity projects. So in that work, we were working specifically with targeting the curriculum that made it so that students were not able to achieve at the level of their more privileged peers. And so when you can break that down into lived experience, often reflected in standardized testing, you're getting one snapshot of 1 day of one student with very little background in understanding what that student had to accomplish to get to school that day, had to accomplish to the many bus routes they may have had to take to get to school, the childcare potentially, because we know that some of our DPS students are also parents. So I think a better measure is growth. I think a better measure of how to track student progress is understanding the many barriers, especially for students of color, especially for students from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, to be able to fully understand what it took for them to get there and the strength it took for them to arrive at school that day.
It's on? Yeah. Thank you. So I do not believe that standardized tests are the best way to evaluate our students' progress. I believe that we have to look at the whole child, and I also think we need to look at the individual needs of that school. We need to look at what the children are facing, where they are coming from, what goals they are trying to accomplish. And I think we have to have a really clear vision of that. That's where it has to begin. We have to be setting clear goals of what we are trying to see from that student body. And we have to have measurable data points to see what that is. And so that is looking at the whole child. That is looking at something way more than test scores. In some case, we may include test scores, but ultimately we need to be looking at the whole
Marginalized community. How would you address the impact of charter schools on neighborhood school enrollment? Amy.
Yes. So we know this is a big problem. And this is what I was talking about. We have to stop this cycle. And this is what I was talking about. We have to stop this cycle of competition and closures. And where it is challenging because the school board does not have any say in how a charter school is run.
Is for performance. So when we're looking at enrollment, we can't close a charter school for enrollment reasons. I will tell you that during my time on the board, we've approved no new charter schools, 0. And that a number that I believe in our neighborhood schools, that I believe in the schools that are operating, that I believe in schools that are getting results, that's what's critical. And we have limited ability to address what became privatization long before any of us were running for the board. We inherited that. And so we have to do the best of our ability as we see increased gentrification, as we see decreased birth rates, as we see working class families pushed out of Denver where the cost of living is over almost $106,000.
A quick question, because like what Director Esserman has named, the district has its hands tied. And the district has its hands tied. And 1/4 of DPS students attend charter schools. Those are realities. And more than this sort of debate between charter and traditional neighborhood school.
Then funding needs to follow the challenges that are getting in the way of our children performing at their highest potential.
Question. I think that in blue states, with people who care about education, I don't want to have to think about the ways that we will cut from education. Rather, I would like it because we know that so many of those dollars are going toward the classroom experience, right? I know my son, who I'm looking at right now, experiences a school day full of very necessary resources. So I don't want to fall into the scarcity idea that we have to make cuts in education, political narrative.
Attracting new talent. As a board member, I don't set charter policy in the state.
As a career-long proud union member, as somebody who's advocated for every one of our bargaining units throughout the bargaining system, as somebody who has insured for hourly workers to $20 an hour, which is higher than anybody else in the city or in the state area. And I'm advocating for more of that. As Karen is absolutely 100% not unions organized at the charter level is extraordinarily limited, and I will support any worker's right to organize, and I will support any charter school teacher's right to organize. And I will do that repeatedly, and I will do that with the same ferocity.
Endorsed by the Denver Classroom DOLF, Denver Area Labor Federation. Unions, both as an educator, as a graduate student. I tried to organize unions in other roles in my life. I'm very, very, very unequivocally pro-labor, pro-union. I want to make that very clear. So I will be neutral and encourage neutrality, not just for charters. I would be neutral on many folks who believe that collective action is the best way that they can move forward in building for themselves rights equitable pay, concern for parents, things like this. I'm laughing to myself thinking about all of the ways I would encourage myself and those around me to maintain neutrality on these issues, because I believe deeply in workers' rights to develop. Yeah.
I am also endorsed by the Denver Classroom Teachers Association and DELF, and I wholeheartedly believe in workers' rights to unionize, and I would absolutely maintain neutrality. To echo what DJ said, it runs deep. It's something that's been part of the work I've been doing my entire career, working with folks who are part of the union, representing them in ways which protect their rights, and it is something that I believe in deeply. So it will not only be for teachers at charter schools, but for anyone who needs a voice to support them. I will be that person 110%.
I want to focus on our students. What's in the best interest of our students? What's going to focus on getting the resources for our kids? And do I support teachers, the union? Yeah, I was a former DCTA member. But also, if the charter school organization, it decides to move forward in that direction, and they are working with the community, working with the teachers, then that's up to them. Yeah, I would not have an issue supporting that. I would support it. But I always want to focus on this. What is in the best interest of our kids? And if them forming this is in the best interest of the students, of course, I would support that.
Thank you all. We will now go into our rapid fire round. For this first question, please keep your answer at or under 30 seconds. Scott, will we begin with you? Please state which organizations have endorsed you and why they're important to you.
So at this point, the endorsements that I have are from Moms Demand Action, who don't technically endorse, but I'm a recognized candidate. There are a number of other endorsements that are hanging out there. I've been endorsed by former Mayor Wellington Webb. I've been endorsed by former regional director of BADL, Scott Levin. I've been endorsed by a large number of elected officials, and those will be coming out shortly. And that's important because those are people that share my values, and those are people who have seen the work I've done and respected it and wanted to continue.
Proudly endorsed by the Denver Classroom Teachers Association, proudly endorsed by Denver Area Labor Federation, which represents 90,000 employees, I believe, something like that, and many different smaller unions who have collectively combined to create the Denver Area Labor Federation. They mean a lot to me because, as I mentioned, I come from a union family. I take a pro-labor stance on everything that I do professionally, and happy to encourage more endorsements if you're out there.
Don't like me. I'm endorsed by the Denver Classroom Teachers Association, and I am also endorsed by DELF. They are two organizations that mean so much to me. I am very much pro-labor, and especially when we're thinking about our educators and those who hold up our system, we have got to be supporting them. And so I am so proud to be there right beside them, supporting them.
Well, I'll first start by saying I'm endorsed by my family, but also with Denver Families Action. They've supported our schools, they've supported our families and brought in a lot of resources into our families. I've also was endorsed by Transform Education Now, the C4, endorsed by them, where they've been advocating and fighting for families in Southwest Denver and throughout Colorado. I was endorsed by them. And Senator Coleman as well, who's the president of the Senate.
I really have to echo what you said. I think I'm endorsed by my family most of the time. And I'm also endorsed by Denver Families Action and 10 Collective Impact, which is important to me because I think we are aligned, I know we're aligned around our belief that community voice matters and that the challenges that face us in education can be found in the community if we just listen to what they have to say. I'm also endorsed by former board member Teresa Pena, Elaine Gans Berman, and community activist Heather Lamb and Dottie Lamb. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm also very amazed that we are running ahead of schedule. You guys have done a great job of actually adhering to the time limits. Thank you. Yes. For the next 3 questions, we're going to do a quick series of raising your hand. Please raise your hand if the statement is consistent with your position. The first question. Raise your hand if you oppose book bans in schools.
Oh, please.
Thank you. Next question. Raise your hand if you support having gender-neutral restrooms in schools.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And the final question, raise your hand if you support evaluating teachers on the basis of standardized testing. Okay. I'm glad to see people were actually listening to the question.
Amazing. All right. Well, aside from being on time, we've learned that we need new microphones, so thank you for bearing with us. At this point, we're going to go into our closing statements. All right, DJ Torres, we will begin with you. You have 1 minute. Take your time.
Thank you. Tonight you've heard me talk about rebuilding trust in our school board, in our educators, and in our communities. That's not just a theme, it's the essence of democracy and the heart of my campaign. Michelle Obama reminds us that leadership does not change who you are, it reveals who you are. Too often candidates win elections and then abandon the voters who put them there, or bend at the wills of conservative dollars or corporate agendas who paid their way. That's not me. I've shown you my record. I've led equity in Denver. I built national safety programs and partnered with teachers and families as both a DPS educator and a DPS dad. With your vote, I will keep the promises I've made on this stage or on this floor and ensure our schools are led by community, and that's you. Together we can restore trust, strengthen our schools, and give every child in DPS the future they deserve. Thank you.
Like me. I have a really loud voice, maybe that's why. I'm running because our kids deserve strong neighborhood schools. Our teachers deserve real support, and our families deserve a district they can trust. For over 20 years in my career, I have built the skills of coalition building, problem solving, and finding resources where others see scarcity. I believe that every child should be safe, seen, and protected, and those skills will guide me in leading that way. Together, we must come together to rebuild trust, to strengthen our schools, and to make Denver proud of its public education. Thank you all so much for being here and for having me. And thank you to my amazing family.
I bet they support you.
She set me up on that. I had to go ahead. No. I've spent my entire career in Denver Public Schools serving as a teacher, as a principal, and assistant principal, and I want to continue to give back. I believe strong, and I also, the reason I've worked in the schools that I've chosen to work in is I represent 60% of the students that live in Denver. or Latino students. And as a proud Latino leader, I want to continue to give back and look out for all students. My kids went through EC K through 12, EC through 12 education, and there are things as a parent that we need to do better. And that's what I'll bring in, a safe, welcoming environment, ensuring that every child grows, and we listen to the voices of our families. Because our kids deserve better than the status quo. Thank you.
I have 22 years of being a parent and nearly 30 years of being a nonprofit leader. And in my experience in those spaces, I understand and appreciate why community partnership, seeing children, making decisions that are in the best interest of our children, investing in our educators, listening to our community, and holding leadership accountable with transparency is crucial. Our kids deserve a school board that is ready to do that is not afraid to have hard conversations and to share information to make decisions. I want to serve on the school board because I believe that children are the future of our country, and right now more than ever we have to ensure we have strong schools that prepare them ready to navigate the complexities of what is waiting for them and fix everything that's being currently dismantled by the Trump administration.
My entire career has been kid-centered. My entire career has been centered on what's best for children. And for the last 4 years, I've had the opportunity to do so by building trust in community, by showing up in community, by listening to community, by ensuring that we as a board show up for community and listen and implement that in every action that we take. I have demonstrated and will repeatedly demonstrate that now is not the time for change. I have a tremendous amount of respect for these two individuals for running, and I'm going to tell you right now that if we take the foot off the gas is when bullies like Trump are going to step in. That people are going to try and distract us. They're going to try and keep us from focusing on the work of students because of their own agendas. As the candidate up here who has visited every school in this district, has listened to educators in this district, has listened to families in this district, I'm going to continue fighting for you. And as Kamala said, even if nationally we're going back, in Denver we are not going back.
Okay. We want to thank you all. On behalf of the Denver Democrats, we sincerely want to thank all of our candidates for your participation tonight and for your commitment to public service. Thank you very much, and we want to thank the audience.
Have a wonderful night. Thank you all.
Thank you. I'm just waiting
Sweating.
I will too.